Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing some good work here on the 1987 300 SDL. Here's how she looks right now. So I've basically finished up putting the European headlights on there. Those are nice and bright. I got the Mercedes stock part numbers for the H4 and the H3 on there. Yeah, I put new motor mounts in here recently too. So that was something that was great to do. I put the dampener and the new motor mount right up there too. So I've got those on both sides. Yeah, I know, looking at this car, a lot of people probably would be like, why would you even do anything with this car? It's a piece of crap. Yeah, there's definitely some rough parts about the car, but when you pay attention to it, you give it some love, it's coming back. So it's starting to get pretty respectable. I still got to get it through the emissions, but yeah, the radiator's the next step. So when I was going and I sorted this out recently, I got the new hose on there. The engine's running a little hot, so it was always getting up to almost up to the 100 Celsius mark, which is definitely too hot for this car. You know, it'd be sitting below there, and the car, you know, I can run it, but the problem, it shouldn't be running like that. So I noticed that this fan is plastic, where look at this, I can like bend it. This is not like nylon plastic. This is a little bit ridiculous. And so I figured, let me start with that. And so I got a new genuine fan, which is metal, it's magnesium. And then I realized that if you try to put the genuine fan in there, swap over the fan clutch, it would hit down there. It would hit that radiator hose. So that, I mean, basically I found out this is aftermarket radiator. It's not meant for this car. And so I ordered a radiator that is for this car. And so you can even see kind of down there, the one on the left is the main, and then the one on the right is kind of like a plug. And when the fan turns, it hits where that main is. So yeah, I've got a new fan. I got a new fan clutch. I got the new radiator. The one I got is all metal, so no plastic on the top here. I'll have to see if this is a genuine Mercedes part or not. I don't know, but I didn't see any markings on it when I was looking at it. Like maybe they took it from a gasoline engine or something. But getting that cleaned up is going to help get this engine temperature under control. So on these OM603s, if you go and check out the head, you can tell the casting number for them. Barely visible, but this is a number 14 casting. So these ones, you definitely don't want to overheat them. So that's why I think it's worth doing this job. I've also got a new little grommet for this area here. This one's turned to plastic basically. It's just hard as a rock. And then I got some new hoses too that are going to fit, and it's not going to be a sliced up job. Just about to get started. Let me show you what I got. Brand new, never used fan blade. I got the new fan clutch. Got that secured in with some new hardware. Here's that radiator that I got. So this is the correct part number, correct dimensions. It's definitely a bigger unit, and you can see down here, this is where the lower radiator goes, so it's exactly right there. It's not going to hit the fan. You can kind of see with the fan shroud too where the fan will be. Yeah, this definitely fits okay, but up here I'll have to kind of grind down the piece that holds it right here, because it does not fit right. But the bottom parts fit okay. And then there's the part for the cooler line, and yeah, so we'll get, yeah, there's one over there too for the transmission cooler and the oil cooler. So I'll get those, when I mount this up, I'll get that figured out. I also got the two new rubber pieces here that go under there. There's little kind of pegs under there that will hold it in place. Current one doesn't have that. Yeah, there's that radiator mounting hardware. So one of the smaller clips there, I'll have to grind it to get it to fit on there. Just a new grommet for the coolant bottle. This is for the windshield washer fluid. the lines that go on the hood, so that just broke and crispy. This is the gasket for the fuel tank. So a lot of small stuff. I even got a new fan bolt. So here's the bolt that will go, and it looks like it's Torx, but the same one, the 8mm, will fit in there just fine. So this was great. This is something that the parts person George helped me out with. There's the number, so 4138. And so same pitch, same length. It's even 8mm. You know, the old one is pretty bad, like rounded out. It's Allen heads. Okay, well, this is my setup here. I basically got the car up on the Rhino ramps, and just got my catch pan under here, which is dirty from a different car. On that white car, I've been taking apart the head, and so I drained all the coolant out, and it had a bullet head gasket, so that's some of that milkshake in there. But yeah, with this guy, I'm going to start with the fan, get this fan off of here. Basically, you can get this tool, slide it right here, kind of hold that pulley, and then I have this 8mm on a long torque wrench. This is the Mercedes part, so it's just a really short, stubby 8mm. Then I'm going to get the front of that, and yeah, the bolt that's on there is definitely stripped, but I think we should be able to get it. Once this is off, got a little bit more working room. Then I'll get these hoses off, get that radiator drained. Yeah, there's the two lines you can see barely for the oil cooling, transmission cooling. So yeah, I'll get this sorted out. And oh yeah, interesting, you can see this has like it's supposed to be having a shroud on this side, so yeah, this might be from like an M103. All right, yeah, well, I'll get started here. So here's the fan off, and yeah, this bolt was definitely, I mean, it's got some good contact lower down, but around the edges it's kind of rounded out, so be glad to replace this. But these fans, so if you look at it, this is the one that was on there. That's just a no-name one. Yeah, it's a lot smaller, and so basically if I put this proper piece on, the actual Mercedes part, this is actually smacking and hitting that hose where it was. So yeah, this will be good to get this sorted out, get a proper one on there. I think this is big enough, and getting the right radiator size too, that's a little bit bigger, should really help keep that car cooler. It's supposed to be more in the 80s range, so something like 82 Celsius would be pretty good while it's running for quite a while once it came to temperature. A lot of it drained out. I just basically went down here and I pulled the hose and let it go. Just a tip, definitely depressurize your system. I didn't take the cap off, and that thing just kind of blew up. You can see where it just kind of went all over the place, but it wasn't hot or anything like that, so no big deal. And yeah, I'm just gonna let that drain out while that's going. I'm taking out some of these pieces here. I took the air box out. It's over there. I'm going to just take this whole the airflow meter out, and that way I'll have some clean routing for where the new hoses will go. And yeah, I'll have to start disconnecting like the upper hose, and should be pretty easy. Once this stuff's off, then it will be a piece of cake to get to all of these areas here. Yeah, so what I did is I just went under the car, basically the part that goes to this turbo, where that air hose is, this rubber hose that goes to the turbo, just loosen that up so that this will come off, so I can pull this out. Pulled this breather pipe out of the way, so now, yeah, this will come out good. And then there is a bolt right here. There's a bolt right here, and then there's a bolt right there. Those three bolts, once you get those, then you just got to kind of play with this a little bit. There are vacuum lines attached to some of these parts, so I'm going to do that off camera. Remember last time I did it, I took this off first, and it made it a little easier just to pull it out. You could pull it this way first and then out. So I'll probably do that. Might even just disconnect this and get this out separate. So yeah, we'll see. There we go. So look at that. With that removed, and you do have to unplug the electrical on the side, and then there's one on the front that goes to the vacuum. Yeah, with that, you got a lot of room. So you can see here what I did with this custom hose and how I had a step up to 1 inch, and then this is the 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, I think. Anyways, yeah, you get easy access to the thermostat. So just gonna go ahead, unplug this, probably clean this up just a little bit. Disconnecting from here, I got that hose off. It's a little easier, I think, to pull the coolant bottle up. And then you can see this is where I had one of those parts. So this part here is one of those things I would replace while you're here. Pretty easy, and then you're gonna probably have a hard time trying to get this back on anyways, because it'll just get pushed right through. It's not sticky anymore. So I got the part here. It's the 201-504-0112. When you buy it from the dealer, it's so cheap. I mean, this was like $1. A lot of these parts, when you go genuine, it's cheaper, and then it's going to last a long time. So that one there, you can tell it's painted with the body. So, I mean, that lasted a good 37 years. So let's get this guy out of here. Yeah, great. So yeah, just kind of put this on. Oh, nice. It's even got the part number right there on top. So that way, when it all goes back together, this will be perfect. So I'll get that in there off camera. And then, yeah, I disconnected my hose. And, you know, I did a fair job. But you can see here where there's a pinch. So this is coming from the expansion tank. And so, you know, it may not have been moving coolant the best, but it worked. It definitely worked. It wasn't leaking. Could have kept driving it like that, but I want to make sure this is done right. Okay, now I'm getting to the part where you got to remove the coolers. And so this is definitely a 19 millimeter. And so I'm just going to be kind of gentle when I'm doing this here. I'm not going to do it on camera because of how old this is. I gave it a couple, you know, turns. I'm seeing it kind of move. It looks like it wants to break off the radiator. So I'm just going to take my time here and get this off. This over here is somebody's makeshift drain plug. The one I have now, the correct part, this is not Mercedes, but it has a plug right here that you can turn to remove it. The actual Mercedes one, I'm pretty sure it goes right under here. And there's kind of like you can see like a cross shape. You can unscrew that, and that's supposed to be where the radiator drains from. So I guess this one does have it in the right place, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's up with this part. But time to get these off. All right, cool, got that. That came off not too bad. And yeah, those are both the transmission cooler lines, so that it makes sense. There's like a input output kind of thing. So yeah, now just got to pull these pieces off and pull this thing up and out. So I'll go ahead and get that done. Just after a couple minutes with the rag, it's already looking pretty good. So you can see here, this is where the rubber buffer goes. These little pieces here are what holds the belly pan on, and this car doesn't have that. And so yeah, there's an empty one where the one fell out over there. But yeah, you just give this a couple minutes, you know, and it comes back pretty nice. I mean, this was all nasty like this just a minute ago, and or worse, you know, like, yeah, like that, all over the whole thing. So I'm just gonna get a bucket of water, take the time to wipe it down. This car definitely could use some love. Maybe I'll hit some of these areas over here too, and just get it looking a little bit nicer before starting to put it back together. Once it's cleaned up, or maybe I'll do a test fit real quick, just make sure that things look okay, like it actually fits in there. That would be important. Yeah, do that and then get this cleaned up. But yeah, pretty much the next steps would just be putting those rubber buffers in and put the radiator in, and then just get these two parts bolted on. Once it's all back together, then we'll do the shroud. But all right, another 20 minutes later and things are looking pretty good. This is about where I'm gonna leave it. I'm pretty happy with it. Got the bottom here cleaned out really nicely, and all along the side and everything too. Just some of this we'll have to do when we get to the air conditioning components. But yeah, now I'm ready to drop those rubber buffers in. I think you can see that part number. These are not made anymore, so you'll probably have to reuse them or find some used ones or find some new old stock. So that's what I did. I found new old stock on eBay. Yeah, there we go. Let's press that in. Nice. Get this next one in. And I already test fit it too, and it fit great, and all the things lined up nicely. So, including I put the shroud on, and when this genuine fan goes back on, it should all be very, very nice. Okay. Yeah, so let's just grab it right now. Okay. All right. Let's line up the feet. All right, I'll do that off camera. Get the pegs lined up where those rubber buffers are. And then once that's done, I got my kit right here where I'll be able to snap this right onto here. Just under the car now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these cooler lines hooked back up. And yeah, then I'll get rid of my fluid here and start putting it all back together. This is not too bad. The next thing that's gonna be important to do is just test fit the hoses that I got. These are the hoses that I had tried before, and it didn't look like it was working. And then I realized that the radiator was aftermarket. So this company on eBay makes it, HPS, and they have pretty good customer support. So, and the product looks great too. I mean, it's a high quality silicone hose, and it's should be the exact fit. So it'll go up to that thermostat, yeah, right there, down to this lower one, which is in the correct side. It's not here anymore where the transcooler line is. Yeah, so let me get these plugged back in and we'll be on to the next step. Well, hey, this is already really exciting. So I got the hoses on there and they line up really nice. It makes a big difference using the right parts. So let me kind of show what it looks like. Basically, we got this hose right here that goes to the thermostat. You can kind of see where that's going to go. Kind of goes around. Here's where it's going to plug in. I'll just have to route this carefully. But basically, it goes onto that little bottle like that. Yep, you're gonna have to lubricate it, slide it on, and then look here, lines up perfectly down here. So this is definitely a good to go one. So I'm so happy that somebody makes this, because this part is no longer available. And you can see what I did. It's okay. I'm not ashamed of it, but I would rather use the real fitting parts than have something like that and have something go wrong. Especially if this has a different capacity too for the actual radiator, and then if the fan wasn't the right size, I don't think it was getting the right cooling. So yeah, I guess the next step is I'll use this rubber lubricant I have. There's a Mercedes part number, and yeah, get this on there, and then this worked really good for sliding this through too. So when you get the bottle through, you can kind of see the other side of it here under the wheel arch. So there it is. if you push it through wrong, it'll push the whole thing through. So just watch that. And then yeah, this is like a new part that I got recently too, just trying to find all these little pieces like that. Yeah, this hose had just something on there, and it might have been the right part. I'm not sure. I have to look, see if this is a Mercedes part or not. But anyways, I got the actual proper part number from the parts catalog. So there's that clip right there, that 126-501-002064. So it just goes right there. I'll have to cut this hose, make it a little cleaner, but then this will slide right there, nice and neat. And yeah, I already replaced the braided hose that goes right here. So this goes to the overflow tank, which is kind of right behind here. So I've already replaced that hose, and so yeah, I'll bolt this up when this is connected and clamp down. So yeah, now it's time to just get that going, and then start putting everything back together. Yeah, the main hose fit. The top one was just a little bit too big. It's bending it right in the middle, which I just didn't like. So I just cut a little bit off there. Just used that trick, and this, I didn't use dish soap this time. I just used the rubber lubricant. It sliced right through there, real nice. Get a nice clean cut. So gonna try this out. Okay, and that's pretty much perfect. So at this point, I'm gonna start filling up the cooling system, and you know, fill it up from the expansion tank, and then I'm gonna fill up the block here too. Just taking off this piece, and yeah, get this thing filled up. Then we can start putting everything back together. Probably clean a lot of this stuff as I go. And then the last step will be putting the fan on there. And this fan will clear no problem. So should be great. And wow, that looks nice and clean. Yeah, they do have a black one, but they ran out. So there's going to be more in a couple months. So, but this hose is definitely hard to find. So if you can go on eBay and find HPS, they're pretty awesome for the 300 SDL. All right, well, I basically got it back together. I don't have enough coolant, so I'll have to get some more of that Xerox Go5. I filled up the expansion tank, and so this definitely, you know, filled the radiator and everything like that. But it's always good to fill the block too. Fill it from this upper hose. Start here, you take this off, fill it until it won't take anymore, then put it on. If you saw any of my previous videos, I definitely ran into some issues there with, I don't know if it was just air in the system, and it overheated until finally it got through. So definitely want to avoid that on this too. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Pretty excited about this. I'm gonna go ahead and just get everything back together. Finally near the finish line, I think. So I got the air box all back together, and yeah, everything else is looking good. So yeah, there's just these three Allens. These are number 5s right here. So I just got those pretty well tightened. The part with the part number on the front, that's the front. And yep. So now it's time to just put this back on. I'll have to try this out. I don't know if I can get the shroud on. I think I can get the shroud on after, but we'll see. I'll have to work out that order. All right, a lot simpler than I thought. So what you can kind of do is just get the fan on here, put it on at the same time as the shroud, and just kind of push the shroud forward. Then I'm going to go ahead and get this started by hand, and yeah, then I should be able to tighten it up using my tool. Get that nice and neat, and then basically you just pull the shroud forward, get those 2 tabs locked in, and then there's a piece that goes right here too. So yeah, so right now the shroud's just kind of flopping around, and I've just kind of set the fan on where it goes. A little tough to look, but already, I mean, yeah, this is not going to hit any hoses or anything. It's pretty awesome. And this isn't related to the radiator, but this is one of those things I've gotten replaced. It's that gasket around the fuel filler. So this is just in pretty bad shape. So I got the new one, nice and soft. Just gonna drop it in there. It's super easy, and it's a good time to kind of clean this out too. It's pretty dirty. There's the final result, nice and soft. So as you put it in, you just kind of push down the edge, and it'll kind of snap under the metal, and provides a good tight grip around the filler neck. And this part, it's only $3. It should be the same on W124, 126, so definitely worth doing. Probably need to get a new fuel cap, but this is okay. Hey, it's the next day. So I've got the coolant filled in there. I got the Go5 50/50 from the store. Got the rest of the coolant filled. I ran out last night. So yeah, everything's hooked up. You know, one thing I did notice, I was going through, and these vacuum lines, wasn't sure if they were correct or not. And so, you know, something that is kind of cool is just like right here on the front, it'll actually have the vacuum routing in case you need it. But I printed out something bigger and just verified it. And so I did have one that was swapped, where it was the line coming from the turbo needed to be going to this one down here on the out. So anyways, I fixed that, so that could help too. That might have been something contributing to the emissions problem. But the thing I'm going to be watching for now when I start the car is just make sure that it's cooling okay. I already kind of ran it a little bit last night, didn't see any leaks, so that's always great. But now it's pretty full of coolant. Okay, so I've been driving it for probably about 5 to 10 minutes, and this is where I'm expecting it to be. So it's just a little bit over 80. I'm guessing that would be like 85. That's perfect. That's where I want it to be. With the other radiator, it was definitely just getting up close and over 100. So, I mean, it would have been fine probably, but this one's definitely cooling better. And then I have a good solid hose that's not cut into pieces. So I'll call this a success. I might drive it around a little bit more and then take it in for the emissions testing. See if I can finally get that, and that's gonna let me do the dash and all that stuff. I'm waiting for, you know, I want to get a new ignition cylinder, but you can't get one until you have proof of ownership and registration, so I can't get that until I get the emissions. So I think we're in a pretty good place. It's definitely been interesting fixing a lot of these issues with the car. It still has a bunch of issues, but I'll get these fixed up. Like here, like the screw has gone down into this, so this is like leaking air that would be going to the back. I'll get a new wood. I'll have the other parts car I can take the plastic from. So yeah, the radio just started going out. I'll have to get that repaired. It's under warranty from Becker. But yeah, otherwise everything's really good. Okay, well that's it for this video. I did take it in to get emissions tested, thinking, well, maybe maybe this will help, and maybe driving it around. I drove it around for about 30 minutes before taking it in, but no, it didn't help. Actually, it looks a little worse. So definitely at this point, I'll have to look at some other suspects, maybe take the fuel injectors out, make sure those are good, clean them. Probably take the intake off, and just look and see, is there carbon built up on the valves, basically. So yeah, so it's taken a while to get there, but I really like this car. I know it's probably, a lot of people it's not their favorite color, and I did think it was a little bit stupid of a color too, but then I found out that's like the actual German taxi yellow, so that's kind of interesting. Yeah, even though it's not passing emissions, it is running better, the temperature is better, so this car is getting a lot better. The interior is all nice. So yeah, stay tuned, we'll see what happens.